Welcome back to the channel, glorious tea drinkers, and welcome to VRC's Virtual Racing Cars Tourers Pack, which just released yesterday, which you should know about because we did 6 hours of live streams and races with this vehicle. So in this video, what I'm going to do is talk about the good, the bad, and all you really need to know with this new mod car. I should say mod pack because you get 3 vehicles in this pack. You get the Vortex Mando, the Vorex Vector, and the Gujara Ascent. In order to talk about this, I'm going to be doing a 7-lap race around Brands Hatch. We're going to start from the back, and I've put the AI on 97%, which should be a little bit of a challenge, but not too much of a challenge, keeping in mind I'm not a very good driver. Now, first of all, I'm going to take some fuel out, and before we drive as well, what I will say is, by all means, feel free to subscribe if you like sim racing content, and also, by all means, click the like button. It will make you 5% faster, guaranteed. I promise. I'd never lie or fib. So let's take the fuel out here, and what's worth saying as well before we get driving, before I forget, or so I don't forget, make sure if you do get this mod that you use the discount code that's in the description. Also make sure that you install this mod manually by dragging the files into your Assetto Corsa folder. Don't just drag it into Content Manager. Read the PDF that comes with the files, and I think that's about it for stuff that you need to know. The important stuff that you need to know. So let's get driving in. Let's see how well we do against the AI. So these cars, as you probably know, are 90s touring cars, which means that they have a propensity to slide around. They're front wheel drive, so the slide around is not really a problem. You just use your accelerator to pull the car back in. They are also sequential cars. They would have a manual sequential stick on them. I'm cheating using a flappy paddle sequential on the steering wheel here because I'm proper lazy. If you want it authentic, you would just sequentially smash it with your hand. Don't believe you need to use a clutch. You probably have some form of dog box or, you know, just your standard sequential system on it. So to get to the crux here, as we feed through the slower cars at the back of the grid, the crux is this mod worth getting? I would say yes. If you're a fan of front-wheel drive cars, this mod is well worth purchasing. The price of it is not too much for what you get from it, and these are absolutely fantastic, fun to drive front-wheel drive vehicles, and that says something coming from me, as I'm someone proper BTCC driving there. I'm someone that doesn't normally get on with front-wheel drive cars. I would say this sort of era of 90s front-wheel drive cars is an exception to the rule, because unlike modern front-wheel drive cars, this doesn't have too much downforce and it doesn't have too much grip, so you really have fun with this, playing with the vehicle through the corners, feeling the grip through the force feedback due to Assetto Corsa's superb force feedback and also the great car implementation that VRC have done with this vehicle. You get all the positives of front-wheel drive without the negatives, so you get an interesting different challenge from driving a rear-wheel drive car, and all the unique qualities of front-wheel drive without it being bland and boring. So these are absolutely superb front-wheel drive cars. What I would say is you can, I believe, get the Nissan Primera mod for free, and that's kind of in the same ballpark as these cars, though the Nissan Primera is less stable and a little bit mental. I think these cars are a little bit more refined than the Nissan Primera, and I would imagine these are probably a little bit closer to reality in some ways, but not that really matters because we're all playing a video game here. I really love that Nissan Primera. I actually think that's a great, another great front-wheel drive car. So if you don't want to spend any money, just get the Nissan Primera mod and you'll bloody enjoy that. But this adds to that type of experience with three different handling front-wheel drive cars of that sort of 1998 to 2000 period of BTCC. Now, obviously, these aren't officially licensed cars, so you've got some interesting names for them. You can use severe dyslexia to interpret those names and work out what they're supposed to be, or just give yourself a concussion. I'm sure you know which ones they are. You know. as is the world of licensing and stupid licensing fees and everything. Also, quite fun is that the all the sort of car brands and the car skins that come with it are designed to look kind of like the real stuff, but slightly different. But they're quite amusingly changed. So, like, we have Quick Fix as one of the brands on the car. There's a couple of others as well. Just, I think it's funny. I quite like it. But if you want to have the real, you know, real brands on stuff, there will be skin packs that come out for these that get them looking like the real deal. As you know, that always happens with all the mods out there. So, other things to keep of note with this car, worth mentioning. The sound is absolutely fantastic. I think these are some of the most immersive sounding front wheel drive cars for Assetto Corsa. You really feel like you're actually inside the cockpit of a vehicle from the audio. You really get a great sense of speed with these cars due to the engine note and the engine sound. And the engine sounds really great when you change gear as well. You get a really nice engine wobble, so that transmission wobble, I think it's a transmission flex as you change gear. You get that little wobble when you change gear, which is something that's often missing from car sounds and simulated race cars. So these sound absolutely phenomenal, and they're so fun to just listen to. And the external sounds as well are really great and line up really well with when you're next to a vehicle. It sounds just about as loud or the right tone to what you'd expect from real life. So super, super immersive. Also, the actual car modelling and the car interiors look glorious on each of the vehicles. Really, really nice attention to detail. Whoa, hello, I'm off to the seaside. Really nice attention to detail with the texture work especially. So you can really appreciate that VRC have done a good job of making it not look like a 3D model, a pristine 3D model. There's like nice little scratches and details and wear and tear on the components where you'd expect it. So they look visually on the interior like an actual race car that's being used. I think if you put a VR headset on and you use these, you will really appreciate those details. Also, you have catch netting as well that's like nicely animated in the cockpit that you notice in your periphery if you're using a triple screen setup or again a VR setup. Looks absolutely phenomenal, and it's all those little things that make it sort of fool you into feeling like you're driving a real car as opposed to a simulated vehicle. It's all those little bits of detail, and I think that's what you're paying for when it comes to a pay-for mod. Not that there aren't absolutely fantastic free mods out there with the same sort of details, but you know, with VRC and RSS, for example, you're pretty much guaranteed to get that extra bit of golden detail with the mods, guaranteed almost. So that's nice to see with these. Now, in terms of the handling of the different vehicles, I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the vehicle to which one handles like which, but we did 6 hours of racing yesterday in live streams, and of the three cars, the most fun oh my god, every time driving wide, the most fun I had was with the Vortex Mando, which for me seemed to be the most active to drive with the way that I drive vehicles. The Vorex Vector, I think, is the most stable of the cars, probably the easiest to drive, but they're all pretty active compared to modern front wheel drive cars. As I say, you really have to be careful with the balancing through the corners on the limit. As you notice when we're doing the T1 there on this circuit, if you go over the limit on all four tyres, the car will just slide off the track. So it's really quite satisfying trying to get up to speed on the corners and carry that momentum through, and then once you get a feel for it, you sort of slightly correct the fronts to make sure that you're not pushing the wheels over the limit. You really will have to listen to the force feedback signal coming through your wheel to really get the most of that. The Mando as well seemed to be the most unstable on braking, but not in an unsatisfying way. When you when you get on the brakes really aggressively with it, the back starts to move out, and then again you're correcting it on the brakes and modulating the brake, and then getting on the accelerator nice and smooth to get the most out of it. They're really nice and active vehicles to drive. There we go. Much better that time. And I think you get the good qualities of front wheel drive. You do have to wait until you get on the throttle. If you get on the throttle too soon through the corner, you will just induce massive amounts of understeer, because obviously those wheels start lighting up and then the grip disappears off them. So you do have to wait a little bit, but that's just the nature of front wheel drive cars. It's a sort of balance between lift off oversteer, coasting, and then being progressive on the throttle at times, but other times absolutely smash winkling the throttle and dragging the car out of the corner. Really, really fun. I found from when we were live streaming it, really fun trying to work out what is the fastest way to drive them. Crucially though, regardless of if you like front wheel drive cars or these cars in particular, in general, from the racing we did yesterday, it was just absolutely phenomenal racing you get with them. Because they're front wheel drive, it's easier to recover. You can have very aggressive driving, you can be knocked out of the way a bit, and then you can just get on the throttle to pull the car back on the track. As long as there's a bit of grass and a bit of tarmac left, you can normally recover from some really aggressive knocks and moves, which for public servers or just jumping racing with your friends means that you generally have quite a close grid, especially in the sort of sprint racing that you'd likely do with these vehicles, anything under 25 minutes. So the racing you get from these, which is what I sim race mostly for, just ends up being really fun. And from our live stream, very similar in many ways to what we'd get with the Clio Cup that we used to race in Project Cars 2 a lot, for the same reasons, that you just get fun, close, crazy battle racing. Well, try to squeeze through here a little bit. Now, the mod's not completely perfect at launch. We did notice that there are some bugs at the moment in terms of some parts of the mod. In some cases you can have like the boot floating above the car. I'm not sure if that's a PC specific thing or something to do with my shader patch. And at the moment you can actually open the boots and doors whilst you're driving, which somewhat breaks the immersion. Now if you're driving with AI, that's not a problem, but if you're driving on a public server, or I mean, it looks like you've just gone to IKEA and you picked up a wardrobe, kind of takes you out of the immersion of the race. I did speak with someone from VRC and they said they might be able to make it so that people can't actually activate that when the car's rolling, which I think would be really nice, though I guess it is more funny being able to open the boot. So it depends how realistic you want it to look. Obviously if you're racing AI, that's not going to be a problem, but if you're racing on servers, obviously everyone's going to be opening and closing their doors and boots for the lols. Look at that, guys. It's a Brands Hatch 7th place, as foretold in the prophecy. So what I would say is that the cars are well worth they're well worth getting. As far as a mod goes, for £10 I think it costs, using our discount code it might even be slightly less, you get 3 absolutely cracking front wheel drive vehicles. If you like front wheel drive, you're going to get your value from them. As I say, if you're going to be cheap and you just want a front wheel drive experience that's relatively similar, try the Nissan Primera. That's probably the closest car that you can get, I believe, for free to these. Though these are calmer than the Nissan Primera, and I think probably a little bit more realistic. But all in all, absolutely fantastic mod. Really enjoyed driving them, and we're definitely going to do some more streaming with these cars. I will be doing some key giveaways for these cars as well, so look out for our next live stream when we're driving these, and you might be able to nab one for free. But hopefully you enjoyed this video and this quick little preview natter talk about the new VRC Tourist Pack. If you did, make sure to subscribe, make sure to click the like button. But until the next one, thanks for watching, happy tea drinking, and goodbye, guys.